Believe it or not, there was a point in time when gaming on a PC wasn't necessarily on par with playing games on consoles. Things that we took for granted, like scrolling screens or even having sounds more than just bleeps and bloops, weren't always a possibility. While the PC would always give you a different type of gaming experience, as the 90s rolled in, so did improved technology that closed the gap. Now we would have games that wouldn't be far from being found at home on a console. Games such as 1994's Raptor, Call of the Shadows. So right off the bat, I do want to make things clear. Raptor Call of the Shadows is not a game like Jurassic Park on Genesis where you get to play as a raptor and kill people, but instead is a vertically scrolling shooter that was available on PC only. Released on April 1st, 1994 for the DOS operating system, this game was no joke. It had 27 levels spread over 3 different episodes and multiple difficulty levels. Developed by Cygnus Software, also known as Cygnus Studios, or however you actually pronounce it since I'm more than likely saying it wrong, which was established by Scott Host. The first game that they released was a vertical shooter known as Galactics in 1992, and this caught the eye of publisher Apogee, and they wanted them to work on a similar game, and thus Raptor was born. Apogee was known at the time for publishing games such as Commander Keen, Duke Nukem, Blake Stone, and Wolfenstein 3D. While you may recognize a couple of those games at least, but you don't recognize the name Apogee, that's because in 1994, they decided with the growing advent of 3D gaming that they would make a new division called 3D Realms, and in 1997 just changed the whole name of the company to that, and they still exist to this day under that name. Another thing that Apogee was known for was releasing their games as shareware. Shareware was the model of being able to release games as a pared down version that didn't have all of the features that they wanted people to freely distribute. This meant that in the age of don't copy that floppy, you were actually encouraged to do just that. They wanted you to share that version of the game with as many friends as possible so they could potentially get more customers. This allowed you to freely play through the first episode of a game, but to be able to get to the good stuff, you had to pay up some money. This meant that you either had to write a letter or call over the phone and use a credit card to be able to have them mail out the discs to you to get the rest of the episodes to play. So yeah, you'll probably be too young to remember this, or maybe not even alive at all, but at the time, the internet was in its infancy, so you really didn't have that mass distribution available like we do now. More commonly, there would be the use of things called BBSs, aka bulletin board services, that would allow you to be able to share some files, but you were usually limited to just people within your calling area. If you do remember that, though, don't forget to take some Aleve for your back pain. So anyway, as previously mentioned, Raptor Call of the Shadows would actually use this shareware method, and you would get the Bravo Sector episode for free. But if you ponied up the extra money, you would get the Tango Sector and the Outer Regions. As was common at the time when playing through Bravo Sector, since this was the free one, it was the most generic. It didn't have as much available to show off what the game had available, but when you play through Tango and Outer Regions, there's a lot more level and enemy variety. You will start the game off by creating a pilot and enter a name, a call sign, and pick a portrait for them, and this will essentially act as a save slot. Once your pilot is created, you can select any episode that you'd like to start on, but it is recommended to start on the first one because after you complete a level, the score is actually money that's used to buy upgrades like weapons and power-ups. If you select the later episodes, the enemies may be too difficult to take on if you don't have any of these upgrades available to you. Some weapons are add-ons to your usual machine gun fire, while others are selectable as special weapons, and they can attack on the ground, in the air, and sometimes even both. While many shooters at the time did allow you to find and collect power-ups as you went through the levels, they usually weren't things that would carry over from stage to stage, and they weren't things that you had a choice over what you got to do. What made Raptor different was that the score was actually your money, and you could save up and choose which upgrades you wanted. This was kind of an RPG-like aspect that wasn't found in a lot of games. Another way that Raptor helped set itself apart from other shooters at the time is that you did in fact have a health bar. You no longer died in one hit, but you also didn't have multiple lives. Once that health ran out, you were dead. This health also didn't automatically refill just because you finished a stage, so you would have to spend some hard-earned money to refill that shield. This would frequently lead to you having to choose whether to buy health or that next weapon upgrade that might make things a little bit easier when you go to the next level. There was always the option of while you played through a level of not shooting, and that would slowly regenerate the shield, But I do mean slowly, as it really took a long time to do it. And if you weren't using your guns, then you weren't killing the enemies and you were leaving all that extra cash on the table. As I mentioned before, there weren't multiple lives and you couldn't just insert another coin to continue, so you truly just had the one life to make it through the level. But once a level was finished, you could save your progress. But remember, that included whatever health and money that you had available. This potentially means that you could have a save that made it way too difficult to be able to carry on any further. There's no grinding possible. The graphics in Raptor really would hold up to anything else at the time, as it had nicely detailed graphics with plenty of colors thanks to the VGA style graphics available at the time. Thanks to Raptor's use of VGA graphics, which was 256 colors, the graphics of Raptor could definitely hold itself to any other game you would find out available at the time, especially within the vertical scrolling shooter genre. With the same number of colors available as a Super Nintendo, but a processor faster than the Sega Genesis, this truly led to an experience only available on PC at the time. While there were many different sound cards available in the past that all handled music differently, no matter which one you had, you still got a fantastic soundtrack in Raptor. The soundtrack to this day is still highly recognizable to anybody who played it, and if you hadn't in the past, prepare to have yourself get these songs stuck in your head for hours after playing. Raptor Call of the Shadows proved that you could have a console-like experience on the PC and maybe even do it better at the same time. With 3 episodes to go through, multiple difficulty levels of each, and a ton of weapons to unlock in the shop, there is plenty of gameplay to sink your teeth into. This gameplay has aged extremely well and is still just as addictive today as it was back in 1994. It's highly recommended for any fan of the genre. There was a 2010 edition that was re-released on GOG.com that added more resolution options and a filter to improve the graphics, which is varying quality, let's just say, depending on what your preference is, but it is still there. Unfortunately, that version has been delisted, but it was the basis of the 2015 edition that is still available to this day on Steam. This version also adds the ability to use the Steam save clouds as well as achievements. Because this is available on Steam, it is also playable on the Steam Deck, though you may have some issues getting it to run properly, as I even still had some issues getting it to play on my PC with a multiple monitor setup. Both the 2015 edition as well as the original 1994 version are available for $4.99 each, but for fans of this game there is some good news. The creator Scott Host is working on Raptor Remix right now. There is a Patreon available for you to be able to help support him, and a Kickstarter is coming soon. This remixed version will have the original as well as some updated elements to it, and will be available on consoles as well as PC. While I won't go into too many details, there was also a spiritual successor that was known as Demon Star on the PC, which is also getting a re-release soon, and a lot of the hype behind it is to help fund the Raptor remix. So a lot for shooter fans to check out now. Thanks again for watching. Who here was a fan of playing Raptor back in the day, or maybe discovered it later on? Are you having fun playing it on your Steam Deck right now? Let us know in the comments below.